I purchased the Dell P2416D after searching around for a monitor to upgrade from my HP 2311Fs behind me, which were only 1080p and lacked VESA mounts for attaching to external monitor stands. After looking at the 27-inch iMac, I decided that such a large resolution would be great for video editing and general multitasking work. After searching around on Dell's website, I came across two different monitors which fitted the needs. There was the Dell P2416D, which was a 24-inch monitor, as well as the UltraSharp U2515H, which is a 25-inch monitor and is part of Dell's UltraSharp series. I eventually pulled the trigger on the P2416D after it was $100 less expensive. The Dell P2416D is a 23.75-inch IPS display panel, running at 2560 by 1440 or Quad HD at 60 Hz. It features 178-degree viewing angles, a 8 millisecond response time, and a 1000:1 typical dynamic contrast ratio. In terms of ports, it has VGA, HDMI, and DisplayPort, full-size DisplayPort on the back, as well as 4 USB 2 inputs, including one around the back for easy access. It also has an IEC power lead for powering with its inbuilt power supply, as well as an upstream port for the USB hub built into the monitor. The monitor comes on one of Dell's characteristically adjustable stands, allowing you to adjust the height, tilt, swivel, or pivot. But how does this monitor really perform? And ultimately, is a 24-inch monitor at 124 pixels per inch too many to be able to read anything clearly? Let's find out. We'll begin with the most important part of any monitor, the quality of the display. Dell is well known for producing high quality displays, and the P2416D is no exception. Out of the box I noticed a slight blue tinge to the monitor next to my two HP 2311Fs on either side, although I wasn't sure if this was because the HP monitors were outputting too much red. Adjusting the contrast and brightness, as well as setting the colour mode to custom and setting the red, green and blue values all to the max, I managed to find a good middle ground which matched with the other two monitors. Currently, my contrast and brightness settings are at 83 and 20 respectively. Comparing blacks of the Dell, my HP monitor, and my 13-inch Retina MacBook Pro, the Dell by far won the category. Despite having the same contrast ratio as the LED HP monitors, the blacks almost look like the monitor is off, and only actually turning it off do you see a slight reduction in the brightness. Naturally, by having more pixels in a smaller amount of space, the monitor looks great when elements are larger. Even just turning the computer off and seeing the shutting down status looks crisp and of a high quality. In terms of colours, I don't really have a technical way of measuring this, and so apart from the aforementioned blue tinge when originally setting it up, it looks fine to my eyes. If you're looking for an out-of-the-box, factory calibrated display, however, Dell's UltraSharp series offers this. The display has an anti-glare coating, which you can notice in the lesser reflections when put next to other screens, including a Retina MacBook Pro or an iPhone 6. Shining studio lights directly at the monitor, you do notice a bit of light reflecting back, but it's diffuse and hard to really notice. Using the same lights on any other screen I own renders them nearly unusable. My non-scientific testing of the viewing angles confirms what Dell claims on their website, although only using the monitor front on, this isn't really a concern for me. Finally, I'm a big fan of the flicker-free technology in a lot of new monitors these days. Even just filming a video, you notice a slight flicker in the HP monitors, whereas the Dell exhibits no such feature. A key aspect of any display choice is how it looks, to which the Dell P2416D offers the bare minimum. Around each edge is a 2cm bezel from the edge of the monitor to where the pixels start, which is huge. From debezeling monitors in the past, I know a lot of this is just plastic and the actual display likely has a very small bezel, so it's puzzling why Dell chooses to include so much excess. I'm a big fan of a small bezel for multi-monitor purposes, and the P2416D doesn't deliver. Further to this, there is a 0.5 cm indent from the bezel to the actual display, which I'm not a fan of. Putting the display front and center of the monitor should be the goal, not push back like this. This huge piece of plastic continues around to the back, with the monitor being nearly 5 cm thick at its thickest point, to accommodate for the inputs at the back. At the edges of the monitor it's only 1.5 cm wide, and if Dell was able to keep the same measurement the whole panel of the monitor, I would have been impressed, even if there was a bulge for the inputs. Otherwise the monitor is very understated. It has a simple silver trim around the edges, as well as for the stand. The rest of it is a matte black plastic, which I like as it doesn't really pick up fingerprints. Finally, there's a Dell logo in the bottom center of the bezel, as is commonplace with any Dell monitor of the last 10 years. This monitor would look good in a business environment. The functionality of the P2416D stand is second to none, offering a huge range of options across a very solid base. I'm able to swivel the monitor left and right, raise it up and lower it down, which is handy for matching with other monitors, tilt it back and forth to get a front-on viewing angle, and pivot it to landscape or portrait. I love having all these options, and I'm glad Dell goes to such lengths with their stands. The monitor offers only a few ports in the way of connectivity: HDMI, full-size DisplayPort, and oddly, VGA. As a user of graphics cards with HDMI, mini DisplayPort, and DVI outputs, and a variety of other monitors already in use, I was lucky to not have to use an adapter. I would have liked to see mini DisplayPort or a DVI input for the biggest range of connectivity options, although most of these connector types are easily adaptable to each other. Additionally, an included mini DisplayPort to full-size DisplayPort cable would have solved a lot of my issues. The monitor's only included video cable is a full-size DisplayPort to DisplayPort cable, which doesn't really help me. It also has 4 USB 2 inputs, with one of these pointing to the back for easy access. It would have been good to use USB 3 inputs, especially for a monitor released in 2015. Dell's current iteration of its on-screen menu is fantastic, offering 4 physical buttons for controlling the menu, plus a similar illuminated power button. Navigating through the menu is a breeze, with functions of the buttons labelled on the screen, which mean no more guessing which button went back or exited the menu or went up and down. You can even assign a favourite function for easy access, which I've left to control brightness and contrast. Dell's auto source switching works as expected. Finally, to answer the questions about what makes this monitor different from any others, its huge resolution in a not so huge physical panel size. I'm a bit torn. On one hand, I love being able to have so much room in Premiere Pro for a large timeline, playback preview, media browser, and effects controls all open at once. But on the other hand, I find myself subconsciously moving things to the 1080p monitor on the left or right for reading. Not that I can't read the text on screen though, but it's just less work to read the text when it's bigger. With that said, maybe I would have been more inclined to get used to it if I didn't have the options for bigger text, a simple drag left or right away. I could easily change the scaling options, but that defeats the purpose of having a larger resolution in the first place, and it's not like I haven't been able to read anything. In fact, I'm reading this right now. Ultimately, while I'm wrapped with the large resolution, display quality, great stand, and even the on-screen menu, I'm going to be replacing this with the Dell UltraSharp U2515H. While $100 more, I believe the factory calibrated display, much smaller bezels, and ultimately the larger panel size will make it a better monitor for me. Thus, the Dell Professional P2416D would make a great monitor for anyone looking for a single, high quality display. But for my multi-monitor use case, I don't think it's the right monitor for me. Thanks for watching this Technologetic video. If you're interested in a review of the Dell U2515H in the future, give this video a thumbs up and we'll be making a full review soon.